Oh, good day. Good day. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the Far Reaches podcast. Welcome. We only have two reachers this evening right now. A couple other ones are making their way back. We'll get into that in a second. But you got Richard and Micah at the moment. And we thank you for joining us, either watching us on the YouTube channel, which more people seem to be checking out and having some interesting feedback on, or wherever you find a podcast. If we're not there, you're not looking right, because we are everywhere. Guarantee it. So, and that's thanks to our good friends at Anchor and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google, whatever Google does. I'm not a Google person, but some people are. It happens. So we are here. We're live from all parts of the world, all the far reaches. And I think Reacher Rawley, well, that sounds weird when I say it out loud. Rawley was headed back from Winnemucca, picking up a new baler. Well, new to him.
Oh.
Him and the missus were on a little road trip, had some Basque food on the way back, and we're making their way. They thought they'd be home by now, but they were going to be real close, so they might still join us. And Mr. Joel is really taking in some local, what I consider some essential activity if you get to Pendleton. He is at the Pendleton Hat Company, talking to the boys down there, and time can just kind of get away from you in the Pendleton Hat Company. And so Perkin boys, they do a great job. One of my favorite shops in Pendleton. And last time I was there, it was an early morning walk home, so it was nice. But
I imagine they're organizing a protest.
They would be probably about what I'm not quite sure yet. And well, to be honest, I don't think they are either. But sometimes those best things like that just kind of happen organically, if you will.
Sounds like one of the problems in Pendleton right now is golf course training.
That was ugly. Yeah.
Goat infestation, maybe.
Goat infestation, and Joel getting probably picked up for looking at the goats too long in a longing fashion. So yeah, there's plenty of trips out there for wayward New Yorkers, especially in P-Town. So
maybe he's taking this time to persuade Junior that this is actually the podcast he should be listening to.
I think it's a personal mission. Really, I do. Yeah. Mission? What the hell is a mission? Mission of Mr. Joel to get Junior on board with the podcast. So someday we'll have to have him on, get some insight into all things in his business world, which could be entertaining for sure. There's some great stories and insight, no doubt. So
I imagine there's some pretty good COVID-19 liquor store stories.
Well, there'd have to be. Yes. I'm curious how they've been handling that too. I need to reach out and shake his tree a little bit and see what it's one of the other social epicenters in Pendleton during the day. Yes. To go check out and kind of see the comings and goings, and there's several people you're going to run into there pretty much on a daily basis doing the Lord's work, as they say, when they come in there. So yeah, it's we'll have to do a breakdown of how to really get all you can out of Pendleton when you get there one of these days. That might be an interesting adventure for the group. We've all experienced Pendleton in different ways and at different times, and by the grace of God, we've not all been there at the same time, I don't believe. So that's why we're still able to talk about it today.
We might have been there at the same time, but we were dispersed.
We just didn't know it. Yes, yeah. Which was what saved us. So yeah, we're going to press onward. If Rawls makes it back to the house in time, he's driving from Winnemucca, Nevada to his hacienda in far northeast Oregon. So there's many a thing that can hold a fellow up between that, especially when you have your lovely bride along. You're just taking on the road and taking a little vacation. Anytime you get a chance to get away from the ranch, you're going to enjoy your time. So not that I would know about getting away from the ranch with my wife, as I have neither, but that's what I've heard around the campfire. So look at Richard's like, just shut up and kick it over to me, will you? Yeah.
Speaking of wives and children.
Yes.
I've had 4 days of solitude. Just the Doberman.
I could swear when you had your hat off, hair was growing back.
Yeah, you could probably see it.
I could see it was like Homer on The Simpsons when the boys gone to camp. Homer's hair is growing back. He's doing one-arm push-ups. Yeah, that's our Richard.
I was like, first time in my life, I felt like I was having a vacation in my own house.
Staycation? That's what you had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think that
Oh,
was real until I had a 2-year-old.
then you realize. Coming from a man who's worked on oil rigs on Nodak and off the coast, alone time, that's very important. So, well, Richard, if you want, we can kick right into, I have to cheat and always look at my cheat sheet so I don't skip over something and just disrupt people's listening habits. They get, I've already got like 4 messages today, like, hey, don't forget reader mail. So I was scrambling this afternoon to get that mostly piled up. So yeah,
Well, they
let's
wouldn't have
go.
an investment in it.
Most of them did. Yes. Like, hey, a-hole, remember we talked earlier this week? Oh, it's you again. Yes. Good day. So why don't you start us out with our weekly update from your part of the world, Richard?
Well, when I have solitude, my brain likes to fill that void. So I have started my very first pitch deck for impact investing.
Oh, outstanding.
So, yes, a little bit intimidating, but I think like the kid I was telling you about earlier, I think it will complicate it. I have been procrastinating a little bit. I may have actually been channeling my inadequacies at my 7th grader. Quite possible.
I wonder if there's a chapter or session on that in teacher school. Like how not to do that. I think
It's the hardest 5 slides I've ever had to do in my life. I've got 2. So, anyway.
Well, I might impart Micah's rules of order upon you then, which is simple as best, never assume, and start at the beginning. And yes, yep. I know I put start at the beginning last, but that's just how my mind works. So that'll get you through. You'll be fine. You will. If you're like me, it's going through your head most of the time while you're building it, and it might be while you're driving or riding or doing whatever, and then it all comes together. So it'll be perfect.
Yeah, I feel that I'm moving in that direction. And I won the electric fence challenge yesterday.
I saw that on ESPN 9, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Finally have all the little gates and holes and places by the canal seamed in. They stayed in their thing, but then went out the main gate onto the road this morning. So electric fence worked great. The tie-up for the gate did not. So I did win the electric fence challenge. I just failed the gate challenge.
Well, yeah, you were focused solely on the electric fence challenge, and congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. So about time to move the electric fence now.
It's like the guys that paint the Golden Gate Bridge. Well done. Well done. You ready to start again? Yeah.
You continued having some very interesting Zoom calls with lots of new type of people interested in agriculture.
Oh, outstanding.
Oh, yeah. You know this already, but I had one of my articles published in a pretty well circulated regenerative type of newsletter. And
you want to give us the full name? Is there any royalty concerned about it, or let it fly? Yeah.
Now I'm gonna.
Or did I put you on the spot?
You did. It's Storm Cunningham. He's one of the. You can watch some of his talks on YouTube, but he goes around the world and helps municipalities and different countries become more regenerative. And just a really cool guy to listen to, driven, and pretty much walked away from a huge job where he made lots of money and sort of dedicated himself for this. So, yeah, my hat's off to him, and appreciate him including me amongst his network of people that get to write in on his newsletter. So
how big an article, or how long?
Supposed to be a 9-minute read.
Okay.
It's a little bit thick, but no, it was super cool, and I sort of circulated it before, and it got pretty good reviews, but I couldn't get it picked up by anybody, so I was happy when he finally agreed to put it on. So
that's what Storm Cunningham at Reconomics Institute, is that?
Yeah. I think his first book was called Reinnovation or
Revitalization,
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then he did Re-Economics. just recently, just published last year, towards the end of the year.
So this article, if I am reading the email you were so kind to send me, will be in the June 1st issue of Revitalization. Is that correct?
Yep, it's already out.
Outstanding. Yeah. Yeah, it should have came out already. That's beautiful. Yeah.
But this is sort of doubly exciting because I had a little track record of writing articles in the oil field and had an audience. And so this is my first writing about agriculture and regenerative agriculture that got picked up. So I think that I got a couple more in the works. So yeah, super excited.
I'd be, to put words in your brain, I'd be curious to see how you could compare and contrast maybe some of your time in Russia to what we're seeing now, and just resources and focus and how that's perceived over there maybe too.
That's an interesting angle. Now I'm going to have to grind on that.
Well, I do what I can, yes. But I was thinking, like, I really liked your time, your updates from Russia. Those are really, really informative, and I think just told a great story. I always looked forward to reading those when you were doing those. And
I'm surprised. I've been slowly reposting them. I don't have any content, and they've been pretty well received. So it's generated some cool conversations. So even almost 8 years later, they're still sort of relevant. So that's cool.
Oh yeah, I think it's amazing, and we might even have to see if we can get young Ben Trindle on here sometime.
Oh yeah,
to talk, if we could pry him. That would be that into itself would be quite the accomplishment to get Ben on Zoom. But I think if we talk nice to Janene, she could maybe neck dart him and make it happen. So
and he was far more successful. He was one of the few Americans that made it all 3 years. I will say.
I think he went longer than that. I think he must have re-upped a couple times and did another tour of duty.
Yeah. I'll have to say that my hats off to him. He made it more than I did not have the stamina to do what Ben did. So.
Well, I think your approach lent itself well. Well, I'm just saying, you probably got as much learned and accomplished, et cetera, in your time there as some people would in 10 years. Not necessarily Ben Whalo, but some other people, because that's just how you approach things, and that's what I appreciate about it.
Just on the random Russian topic, my sister hired one of the Russian guys at the ranch in Nevada. So.
Oh, really? A little cultural exchange.
Yeah, all these Russian guys just keep showing up. So it's crazy.
I don't even go there. Are they ever leaving too, or is there a big hole somewhere, or are they get they're just working at a random casino now? So yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, how was your week?
Oh, outstanding, exciting, riveting, crazy. Started with the new job as a business director of business development. I think is my official $10 handle at Rapid Genomics in Gainesville, Florida. So I'm still remote, still based in Lincoln, but I will be making the trek to Gainesville in the coming months. So I had my first day on Wednesday, and it was zoomed out basically from about 8 a.m. till about 6 p.m. my time, with a couple of little miniature breaks, but just getting acquainted with a lot of the people in the lab and different aspects in IT and bioinformatics, et cetera. Spent some time with my CEO as well. So just a lot of good informative times. These people I have not yet met in person. They have not yet met me. I've not been to the lab or the office or Gainesville. So, I thought, well, every time I've done all that, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I got a good deal. Great to feel even better about that after getting a chance to spend some one-on-one time, or virtual beers, as I called it, with some people, like just hanging out and talking to some work and some personal, and getting a handle on that. And so that's been fun. And then also I really had some time for some deep meditation and inner thought during my hiatus, and reducing my clutter and my stuff. And I've really enjoyed posting that on Facebook Market, mostly for the random comments. That's highly entertaining. Also some great people I've met selling the random assortment of things that I am parting with prior to my departure. So, just some of it all people validate what we think about humans. So it's been entertaining. So quite the week. Yes. So
So I was just looking up Rapid because I've been meaning to do this all week because I was wondering if it was a publicly traded company or private company. It looks like it's private.
it's still private. Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, they are a spinoff from University of Florida.
Oh, wow.
Their genomics lab and been, I think, right around 6 or 7 years. They've been without the training wheels and kind of on their own. And so, in my opinion, phenomenally adept at the science. And like I was talking to my CEO, he's like, "Yo, I just got this patent submitted yesterday." And he showed me the slide of how these things are bonding and when you're doing this and that. And I was like, I'm thinking how I can sell this or, how to like, but that's their specialty. They're really, really sharp at that. And they need somebody to help figure out how I can commercialize this to a degree or how to position it with people so that they don't just get swamped by the patented science, more about like, how do you make the tool out of it? So that's been the fun part for me. And that's some of my homework before our next sales meeting next week is, all right, what do you think? What we're going to do? How can we position this stuff and with who and what are we going to take? And so I got some light thinking over the next few days for that.
Yeah.
But it's great to have somebody who's, technologically and scientifically like light years beyond where I am, but still can talk to me in a manner that I can figure it out, but also like know what they're strong in and hopefully found somebody that's strong in the other parts. So that's been fun.
From what people like, when I talk to Dr. Aaron Cooper and different people in genomics, I sort of under the impression that the innovation is happening faster than Moore's law.
Yes.
It's incredible. Like you're in a blank and then it's just amazing what's going on.
Yeah, I haven't been directly involved in genomics for a year and a half or so, and the technology we're working with now is there was some of it around when I was there, but it's different. It's been refined. Like I said, they have some of their own processes, but they're taking that next level stuff. So it's a different platform than I'm used to working with, and it's different than everybody else basically has too. So that's like you said, yeah, it's whipping. And if you look even in the history in the past 8 or 10 years, it used to be tremendously expensive for not that much information. And now the information is just too much at times and really nominal fee for what you get.
This is what fascinates me about machine learning or AI. The data that we're producing is so great that we can't even manage it without artificial intelligence or machine learning.
Oh, absolutely. And look at this. We have joining us live with his bowl of SpaghettiOs. We got half of Rawley's face, which I don't think anybody's going to complain. You still can't hear us, so this is the fun part.
There he's connected.
Screw that. Closer. Before it. This is the beautiful stuff right here. I'm just really impressed you made it on. Oh, and a Canadian rooster to you, good sir.
Well, howdy there.
Yeah, greetings.
Don't mind me. I'm kind of eating in the middle of this deal.
Oh, that's fine. People come to expect that. So they won't. We should probably do a segment called "What's Rawley Eating," and we could have people guess. Yeah,
that could actually be pretty much a topic every time.
We can even go back into the historic annals of far reaches. So
yeah, it's a long travel day. Didn't get much to eat.
It happens. Well, Richard and I will. Well, you guys went to the Basque restaurant either yesterday or today, so you're okay.
Last night.
You go to Martin?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, the only place to go.
Joel's going to be here pretty soon.
Are we on yet, or just?
Yeah, we started. Yeah, we've been in depth and hammering it down. Yeah, so.
We're at the point where you tell us how your week was.
Yes.
Unless Micah, are you done, Micah? I'm not trying to.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think, that's happy. And we can circle back. We were discussing some things about genomics and advancements in that. And then that was my part of my best week. So, or weekly update. was starting a job and selling stuff on Facebook, basically. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. No.
That's not his job.
No. I could make a living for a while, but eventually I ran out of shit to sell. So
It kind of is in a way.
turns out, yeah.
We started this week, and I'm already branching out to an eBay store.
Yeah. I just thought of the what's that 40-year-old virgin where she has the eBay store, and
Yeah.
it's like, what, can I buy it now? No, it's got to go on eBay, but it's right here, and so am I. No, you can't buy it here though. That's something I would come up with. Yeah. So I did tell the gang Rawls that you and the bride were down in Nevada getting your new to you baler, and we're trekking back, and we didn't know exactly when you'd be able to get to the homestead, but yeah.
It was close. Well, there were a few delays when we got back. Had to get a cow in, and then we had a road delay on the mine and where they're redoing the big corner. So
it happens.
Yeah, little things you don't account for. So, but no, as far as my week goes, it's been good. We obviously went to Winnemucca and picked up a baler the last 2 days. Let's see, we got calves branded last Sunday. Well, not all of them, but another big bunch branded.
Oh, let's pretend that Joel's here. And what's a baler?
Joel and Brian actually came up last Saturday and picked up some hay.
Oh, beautiful.
And so he got to have a firsthand look at some equipment and kind of just
that sounds a little kinky.
Well, yeah.
Equipment, yeah. I'd stepped around the corner to let the dog walk, and no, sorry.
He was. I'm not sure he was completely in his element around there, but he darn sure got to look around, checked out all the equipment while I was loading their hay trailer, and it was good to see him and Brian both. It's always good to see him.
Those two maniacs. Yeah, you should have recorded that just to have as proof.
Yeah.
That Brian did some work. Well, he didn't. He drove the truck up and stood there and watched, I'm sure.
Yeah, they were headed back to Pendleton. They had a pool party planned for the afternoon. So
that's right, yeah.
I'm not sure they were going to even unload. So
it's probably still in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, it could.
The horses are just eating off of.
Yeah, they just pull it, just move it around. It's a whole new grazing scheme they come up with.
But it's just been a typical busy week, kind of getting geared towards haying now. Got some fence work done, and another day in the life, I guess. We're apparently planning on having some sort of a protest rally up here tomorrow in Willow County, so that ought to be interesting. I hope Antifa shows up. Good for them. But
they couldn't even find you guys. What are you talking about? Like, even if they were on a bus together, they couldn't get there. Yeah, like.
That's I hope we cover that topic a little tonight. That's kind of a fun discussion.
Probably stumble into that at some point. Yeah, I've actually it's gone around my brain a lot today. So
I have a great Klamath Falls story. So the fine people of Klamath County and Klamath Falls when Antifa or some professional strikers were going to come to, professional protesters.
Yeah, there you go.
Were going to come to Klamath and help them protest the Floyd thing. And so they heard about it. And that morning, there was 3,000 armed people in Main Street, California, or Main Street, Klamath Falls. The bus showed up. They took a look around and decided that they'd try their luck in Reading.
Oh, no kidding. So the bus made it there.
Yeah.
I heard folks from Lakeview came over to lend a hand, too. That's what the word around the campfire was.
Yeah, it was quite I guess it was live streamed on Facebook and everything. It was, other than just a really good old Klamath County get-together, there was not much activity.
Well, they're used to all sorts. I mean, they've been fighting over water and everything else there for 15 or 20 years at least. So, yeah, they're anybody protesting over there just walked into a hornet's nest because they're skilled.
But like the waitress at the Eagles Nest said the night before, hell, they just had the monster truck rally, so everybody was already crying.
Nothing that'll bring a community together faster than a monster truck rally. Oh,
Sunday,
I'm sure they all took.
Sunday.
I'm sure they took their rifles to the monster truck rally as well, right?
I probably did. Yeah. Yeah. I'll show you, Gravedigger. I did not know that the bus had actually showed up and was like looking for the map to somewhere else. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Thanks for the warning.
Yep.
What's that in the military when you abort one and go to the next one?
I'm trying to think how to put that. Talking about like cutting your losses and just go I don't know what the tactical term is you're looking for yet. It'll come to me.
Yeah, I can't think of it right off the top of my head. Yeah, but Reading was the more appealing. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I just picture him singing like campfire songs and shit on the bus. And then, 2 miles out of town, we got to get our black bandanas on and get ready. So wheels on the bus go round and round. Yeah.
On their bus.
Oh. Never dull. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I guess that kind of wraps up what my week was. So.
Outstanding. Well,
wait, one critical thing.
yes, please.
Where did you stay in Winnemucca?
We stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, right down across from the McDonald's.
In a van down by the river.
You got any better recommendations?
What was Winters and Scott's Shady Cove all booked up? What the heck?
I just never made it in there, and we'd stayed at
I always
the other.
when I stay at Winnemucca, I stay for ambiance.
Ambiance. That's definitely.
I'm sure they have the Richard room. You can reserve the Bradbury suite.
We stayed there a couple times ago, passing through, and there was a little motel that allowed dogs in because we had some dogs with us at the time. Never again. That was the most sleepless night I think I've had in 15 years. Crack alley out back and whole 9 yards. So, but yeah. Anyhow,
Did you stay at the Highlander?
Oh,
I don't remember the name of it. It was kind of on side street, one of those little seedy motels, and I'm like, you sure about this, Kel?
you want to stay the whole night? We usually just go. I guess let's see. Usually by the hour, but I suppose we could do that by like 5 or 6 and see what happens. Yeah.
No, I don't need to go there again. So, but
oh, that's funny. Yeah. Oh, and also Richard is champion electric fence man for the week too. So maybe you guys could do a stand. You could do some head-to-head competition or something. Yeah, I watched it on ESPN 9, but he's pretty good at it.
what are you hot wiring?
Oh, I have some cattle that I got a field that I can keep dividing, and so I'm trying to keep them moving along through it, and so I can regrow some grass.
Mm-hmm.
The typical pasture program in Lake County until recently has been to just open all the gates and unload the truck. So we're and that last year, the place that I got, at least this year, got a little bit wolfy and ahead of them. So I'm trying to beat back all that.
You doing some like high intensity, short duration, is kind of what you're for that wolfy stuff?
Yeah, I pretty much got all the wolfy stuff, and then I'm just moving on into the better stuff, and then I'm trying not to cream it and come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's such a cool combination of science and art. It really is. It's so cool. I love how everywhere people have different grazing strategies, different ways to keep things moving. It's so cool to see how innovative people get with the different styles and approaches.
Yeah, I'm definitely don't want anybody to be confused. I'm not high intensity mob grazing.
No. We don't want to get you off on the wrong foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
hey.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Working on your mason jar, is he? Is that some of Grandpappy's little mixture?
Only the best.
Well, I thought since we had our updates, we can stumble right into our movie of the week. Again, one of my personal favorites, and I think most of us have seen most of it. So kick off. It was do a little recap, and then we can talk about some of the finer points, if you will, and thoughts and etc. Fairly recent movie compared to some of our other segments thus far. I think it's made in 2018. Was Operation Odessa, which the first time I saw it, I didn't have any idea what to think. It says it's a documentary, and I thought, this has to be like Spinal Tap or something, It turns out, no, it's really what it is. It's a 95-minute long, crazy ass documentary about really when the Soviet Union was cracking up and like opening up the markets and drug cartels and some just really ambitious and crazy ass people. If I had to write the title for it, that's what I would say. Yeah.
And you said it's on Netflix, correct?
Yeah. Another reason I picked it. That's why I waited, because it used to be on. I had a DVR on the Showtime, I think, is where I found it, and anybody that would come to the house basically had to watch it at some point if they're here longer than an hour. And then it finally showed up on Netflix, and thought, oh man, one of these days I need to bust this out on Far Reaches, because it's there's nothing deep or profound at all. It's just highly entertaining, and I thought it kind of said a lot about that time of the world too. So
Perfect.
Richard, what was your takeaway, I guess? All right, let me ask you this first. I said there's lots of different characters, and my favorite one was the dude that they interviewed on his jet. I would like to hang out with that dude. He might die, but I really liked that guy. So that's my feedback. I'd be curious what you think about that.
I don't know how he managed to steal $10 million from the Columbia, and that he was still around.
Yes,
I think that despite his bluster, he must have cut some deal with him.
He's that dude that would cut a deal and then cut another deal, and and screwed somebody over again or whatever. But I loved his stories, and just hearing his demeanor just slays me. And so when he's telling a story, I'm always cracking up. It's
well, I'd have to say that none of that would be possible without Tarzan.
You are correct, my sir. Yeah, Tarzan was the mob guy from Russia. And came down and ran a titty bar in Florida, basically, and then
the Jewish mob guy.
Yes, great point. Yeah, yeah, just like some freaking Tarzan, So it's just absolutely full blown like comic book kind of stuff almost.
Yeah. Not only did the guy have the balls to go and try and buy basically Hind helicopters.
Yes.
He then had the balls to go outside and convince another guy to go in to a Russian mafia meeting and pretend that he was Pablo
Escobar. Yeah.
Yeah, Escobar. And the guy did it.
Yeah, pulled it off. Yeah. Yeah. So Rawls, they're going to freaking Russia when the country's breaking up and it's like a free for all, and the military's basically like, hey, come on down to Uncle Admir's freaking whatever you want to buy, And so they're buying these huge freaking helicopters. This crazy guy, a mob dude, and his buddy, and he convinces his buddy to say he's Pablo Escobar from the cartel, and he wants these helicopters. And the sumbitch pulls it off, and the Russians believe him. That's how crazy they were. There's a point where they're flying to look at some motorcycles at this Russian manufacturing plant, and they rented Russian military helicopters for the day, basically. And they're like, they can't find this damn factory. So they just land like at this square in this town, and they ask a lady for directions. And she's like, oh, yeah, you go down there about $7. So they Russian helicopter military takes off and they fly to the motorcycle factory and buy, containers full of motorcycles and ship it back to the States. And that's where they kind of got started, like going over there and basically just seeing what they could buy. So,
Sounds interesting.
I gotta tell you, the best part about the whole thing is, well, they sort of parallel each other, but in the beginning, they have the Italian guy that comes down to help run the strip club for the old family.
Yes.
He's driving this Nissan Altima, and he's trying to explain to Tarzan, if you're going to run a strip club with illegal activities in it, and what strip club doesn't have illegal activities in it, Probably shouldn't be out buying Ferraris and different types of sports cars and $2,000 jackets.
Yeah.
Probably keep it on the down low. Anyways, jokes on that guy, because Tarzan pulls all this stuff off and gets recorded 15,000 hours of cell phone recordings that the government has.
The government gave him the cell phone he was talking to everybody on. Like it was one of theirs. Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, after this election, the Italians being worried about the strip club guy, he pulls off almost buying a Russian submarine and is not in jail.
Yes.
Currently not in jail.
Look at Rawley's face. He can't believe it. Yeah.
Can you see me still?
It's just a frozen, scared look. Like you just like, I think you pooped. Yeah, it's just frozen on the screen. You're like,
I've got audio.
It's hilarious. It's probably the best picture it could be. Yeah.
That should be your background.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Telling me I need to do something here, so I got to figure that out.
Oh, it's perfect. We'll get you back to going.
Keep going. I'm still here.
Oh, so yeah, they keep buying more crazy shit and being more outlandish, and like we were saying, like the government's catching on and they're surveilling him. And one of the guys that's gone undercover to bust him gives him a government cell phone, which he calls all over the world on, and thousands of hours of tape of him. You know, it was like the easiest sting ever. And they do all this crazy shit, and they damn near buy a Russian submarine and sell it to the cartel. Like they have, what gets them? They have pictures of like them and the Soviet, admiral and shit standing out there at the sub yard. Like actually, they're like got the Nikon out taking pictures, and they're on his desk and somebody sees them. And so, and then the crazy dude on the jet screws them all over and takes the money that the cartel had sent him to buy the freaking submarine with. So it's just like these 8 circles going at all times, and they're flashing back to interviews and showing pictures, and it's just absolute chaos the whole time. And yeah, he's out of jail, or never was in.
That was a plot so outstanding and just screwball that I'm surprised that John McAfee was not somewhere in the middle of that.
No kidding.
Well, I was just gonna ask who directed it.
That's a great Tiller Russell, which I have no idea. If you look it up on IMDb, like there's no pictures of anybody. It just says self director Tiller Russell, and there's I don't know if he's ever done anything before or since. This was done in 2018. No, he's done several things actually. Tiller has. So he's been a producer, The Last Rites, and a decent amount of stuff. Oh, he did Bernie, which was a weird show on Showtime, a movie. Anyways, yeah. So not like Steven Spielberg or anything, but yeah. Huh. So highly rated though, as people who've seen it. Just love it. And like I said, I've probably seen it 10 times, and anybody that comes over and hangs out for dinner for a while, we usually ended up watching it. So at least once, yeah, or halfway and like, dude, what was that show again? So
after that movie, I watched The Fabulous Flights of West Virginia, which is another equally disturbing train wreck of human individuals that walk on this planet with us. So if you ever want more documentary type entertainment that you cannot believe is real and would make Joe Exotic blush, you should check out The Fabulous Flights of West Virginia.
Yes, that's I haven't seen that in quite a while, but highly entertaining and disturbing at the same time. Yes. Like most things that we do. Yeah. Rawley, you still got the frozen look, man. Oh, there you are. There he is. Hey now.
I was busy trying to figure this out. I got it. So
when you go back and watch this, you're gonna love just how your face was frozen, because it was pretty appropriate, really, for most, like, kind of like, what the hell? It was good. So we thank you for that.
I have some interesting expressions at times,
especially when it gets randomly frozen and you don't expect it to be. That's the now the paparazzi always catches somebody they want to make look bad, a celebrity or whoever. You're like, and that was Tom Cruise. So yeah, you can get anybody at any time. Roughly. Yeah. So, yeah, highly recommend Operation Odessa. It's a crazy ass documentary. It'll inspire you to think like, hey, why not? Let's go get her done. And just the openness of what was going on.
I have to just to drive it home. This Tarzan guy is so don't know. I just don't think he operates. I think he's like only half hung in our dimension. At the end of the movie, after he's like not gone to jail for the rest of his life, he pretty much, I guess, as far as I can tell, still pretty much has all his assets that he acquired. I mean, seems like his life has turned out pretty good. He's like going, the whole time those guys were grilling me and interviewing me, I kept asking them what a special agent was, and nobody could give me a satisfactory answer. He goes, I'm just Tarzan. He goes, there's no special Tarzan. There's just Tarzan. So why are there special agents and agents?
And imagine
that's what he worried about the entire time he was being interviewed for like possibly going to jail the rest of his time. And I honestly believe that is what he actually
the whole time
probably spent most of his time fixated on.
Yeah, and throw in like a pretty heavy Russian accent also, and crazy curly hair, and it's like just a dude. If you saw in the strip club, you're like, that guy probably smells awful, like that guy. So, but so funny. I love the whole damn movie. I just all the characters. And yeah, like people just kind of walked away. It was completely crazy.
Major crime figure most likely to wear a fanny pack.
Exactly. Yes, a very expensive one, like a Gucci fanny pack or something. That was he was all about the flash and being a gangster and letting it just fly. And somehow he pretty much just pulled it off. And then just how brazen they were about flying to Russia and just buying shit. I truly loved that part. Just, what? We can buy this? We will buy this. Let's go. We will buy it now. And they just, away you go, man. So just so crazy to think about that. Yeah.
Oh, and his favorite celebrity he hung out with was Vanilla Ice.
Yes. That's it. Loved hanging out with Vanilla Ice because he was in Miami at that period, and so that was the kind of the pinnacle for those 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, that was sorry, Ice. Yeah, so Rawls, you have to get caught up on it sometime. I'll be curious. After hearing Richard and I blather in a circle like we're in a blender, I'd be curious if you're like, you guys are completely overhyping it, or like, how could you forget this part? I'll be curious.
I'll put it on this weekend. Kel's out of town for the weekend, so I'll have a little downtime in the evenings to watch.
Okay. Yeah, it's highly entertaining and make you scratch your head for sure. Yeah. It's yeah. Too wild. So with that, I think we'll wrap up the movie portion and we'll skip to the Far Reaches intellectual moment of the week. And something it's not really overly intellectual, I think. It's just really interesting and something to discuss. But SpaceX launched on Saturday, and it's supposed to launch earlier in the week, and they got scrubbed for weather. But SpaceX is one of the companies that Elon Musk is tied up in, and it's the first time that U.S. astronauts have taken off from the U.S. for quite a while. We've usually been riding with the Russians or somebody else. It's also a privately owned space shuttle that U.S. astronauts from NASA rode on. So talk about this wild collaboration of a privately held company, SpaceX, and NASA astronauts riding on it, and it went off like a freaking champ. I mean, it was amazing. I watched the whole damn thing and was just dumbfounded from the launch, and they had pretty good graphics and what was going on and when it was going to happen. And they had great cameras inside the capsule and the two astronauts, which what slayed me, they're named Doug and Bob, like the McKenzie brothers from Strange Brew. So the whole time I'm cracking up about take off, eh? And so if you never watched Strange Brew, we'll cover that someday, but go look at it in the meantime. So yeah, these two astronauts, they're named Doug and Bob. So funny, because even on Strange Brew, they have their shitty movie they make with the van, and it's a spaceship. So anyways, to see all that happen and be privately funded. You know, there's grants and loans and whatever, but it's a private company. Like if it had blown up, like we would have been kicking Elon in the balls, but it didn't. It weren't like a champ. You know, the traditional, when it takes off, you have a huge booster rocket that blasts and goes, and then it breaks off, and then it just falls in the freaking ocean. The way they designed this bitch, like that part falls off, and then it guides itself back to Earth and lands on a launch pad. So they get that missile, and they had a camera on that thing the whole entire time, so you could watch the capsule and its booster taking off into space, and the booster that had got it to that far had a camera on that, and you could watch it, and it went all the way back down from space and landed by itself on a launch pad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so they ended up docking up with the International Space Station is where they're at, I think, still now. But it was a really interesting moment for me because of who was involved and all the circumstances. You know, we haven't launched, I think, since 07 or 09, I think, is the last time we had a launch for the U.S. So sometimes things work out, and you know he's got crazy ideas, but I really like listening to Elon and what he's thinking about. So
2011.
Is that when it was? Okay, yeah. So yeah, it was like 7 or 8 years ago, and that's where that number came from. So very cool. So I don't know if anybody else got. Richard, did you get a chance to see any of it?
I was all ready to watch it on Saturday and failed. So
it's probably on the YouTube, I'm gonna guess.
no, but I was really impressed with the cockpit. I've been seeing the comparisons of the Apollo cockpit, the space shuttle cockpit, and this cockpit, and that's super impressive.
A tremendous amount of attention to detail. Little things like they have the big screen and the astronauts are sitting there. There's a little ledge for them to rest their fingers on right underneath the screen because everything's touchscreen. But there's a little ledge they can just go like that and rest their hands on instead of trying to waddle around or a big shelf. It's just all it needs that because there's not much gravity, you know, all that stuff. So a lot of those interesting details I thought were really cool. And like the camera inside was awesome. It was like full HD the whole entire time. And so, you know, always cracks me up when you can have a camera that good there, and then surveillance footage at the casino, you can't tell if it's a human or a two rats together. So, but very cool footage the whole entire time. And you know, that sparked my brain because Musk was busting on Amazon today too because they didn't want to print a book about COVID, and so he put the fire to him, which I thought was interesting. So my thought being, we're going to see a lot more Elon, whether we like it or not. I think so.
I just gave up. I like everything he does.
Yeah, like you said, I'm not getting no chip. Well, that's fine. You don't have to, but I just dig how his mind thinks and what he does. And you know, we've seen some of his interactions with the government and such during this COVID stuff, and his plant in California, and his thoughts about moving to other places. And then, yeah, he lit up Bezos today. Or yesterday actually, about not publishing a book because it talked about the Rona in a way that I think most of us figure really happened, and as opposed to what the narrative is. So he's just kind of about blunt and truthful most of the time. So
I had negative impressions of Elon at first. I didn't understand what Tesla was for a long time. Well, I understood what it was, but I didn't understand what it really was. Basically, this giant, the cars are cars, but they're these giant vehicles that just gobble up data and send it back to Tesla. And so really, he's not building a car company. He's building the whole infrastructure that all autonomous vehicles will be running on. Mm-hmm. So pretty soon when autonomous vehicles go mainstream, the data that they'll be using is the data that he has collected through Tesla. And that'll be ultimately more valuable than any car that he's produced that has the Tesla emblem in it. So
he literally needed the vehicle to gather the data with. The vehicle meaning both the car and a way to get that data.
The guy sitting in the passenger, the people in it, gathering that data on that too. Mm-hmm. So you go spooky with that, but that's brilliant.
And I hadn't looked at it from that angle either, Richard, till you mentioned it. And I think that it kind of makes your head hurt.
Then the interesting thing is, so with that, controls a lot of space thing. Neuralink, Boring Company. then you got his ex-partner, Peter Thiel, investing in medical psychedelics, psilocybin, and owns the most sophisticated anyways, it's Palantir. It's the program that they use to compile all the data that helped them find Osama bin Laden.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're piecing together all this different voice data and all kinds of things, actually.
When they think when that company goes public, it'll be the highest valued company in the history of the world.
That's crazy. It's just weird to think about.
Coming from a guy that created PayPal, bought Elon Musk's company that was doing the same thing, merged them, sold it, and his next big investment was Facebook.
Yeah.
And SpaceX was the only company that Peter Thiel invested in with Elon Musk. No investment in Tesla, no investment in Boring Company, and I don't know if he might be invested in Neuralink, but on my call last night, the psilocybin thing is really taken off, and I talked to some people that are working with that company that he just recently purchased, and so psilocybin they're finding has tremendous potential for treating PTSD, anxiety, bipolar. So this whole spectrum of things, and it has far less side effects than the chemicals that we currently use. And I think that just such interesting guys, and both immigrants. So
yeah, I think that's a neat story as well, as they came from not very good places. I had a chance to get here and have really just front snap kicked the crap out of it. So it's pretty cool.
What I find it interesting is I've always liked Peter Thiel because he has a very libertarian, very objectivism and Rand sort of approach. I had not recognized that in Elon Musk until the last 60 days.
And then he kind of last time on Rogan, yeah, he let it out a bit. Look at the fucking face on this guy.
Hey there. Sorry I'm late.
Well, better late than never. Look at that lid on Mr. Joel.
This is a new hat from the Pendleton Hat Company.
Outstanding. I'm surprised you're upright. That's impressive.
Goes good with your earbuds.
Nice lid, Mr. Joel. Nice lid.
Thanks. What'd I miss? Anything good?
Oh, every moment's been a gem. Yeah. We were just talking about the intellectual moment of the week, which is the launch of SpaceX.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty intellectual, yeah.
I think that's what the announcer said. This is the most intellectual moment I've seen all week, folks. SpaceX.
Well, this is a bad week to do a podcast because there hasn't been much happening, right?
Not at all. No, I mean, you guys should have had plenty of time to sit down and read and watch movies and enjoy. Yeah. You just be
I didn't watch a guy get killed live on Twitter or anything this week.
No. Turns out, yeah, or cops they didn't see a dude like fly over a hood of a car either, or any other crazy shit. Yeah. Well, it took about 13 seconds for Joel to get that one wheel right in the ditch. That's good. Yeah. We've been talking.
I don't get the reference. I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. This winter you'll figure it out.
Give me 13 seconds to get my wheel in a ditch.
Yeah.
Brian's here.
Big Daddy.
Yep.
Padre Grande. Yeah. So, if you get one wheel down the ditch, it's usually like it's snowy or muddy and it just kind of sucks you right off the road. And
did Rawley tell you that we went up there to his place?
He did mention it briefly because we were talking about him coming back from getting his baler. And I said, well, let's just pretend that Joel's here. What's a baler? And then that's when he said, oh, those two maniacs came up and got some hay this last week. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I arrived thinking I'd have to load a bunch of hay up onto the trailer myself, but Raleigh had a machine.
Work smarter, not harder. Yeah, he should have said it was broken down for a good 30 minutes just to see what you could get done and then fired her back up.
It was tempting.
It was tempting, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, he's a good businessman. He wants to keep the customers happy too. So, yeah. How much did you guys get? The whole 6 ton, or did you only get 3? What'd you do? If you don't mind me asking, that's rather personal.
Yeah.
Half, I think.
Okay. 3.5.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, well, that was. We should have got that filmed so we could get some live footage of the Kern boys in action.
We didn't have to do anything. Then once we got it back into town, there were some high school kids there that unloaded it. So
Well, I was betting it was still on the trailer. Yeah.
How much did it cost you to get them for him to unload it?
$1 a bale.
Oh, that's not bad.
Oh, good, dude.
$70. Good buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus pizza. Plus pizza.
Oh, I hope you got you get Big John's.
Darcy handled it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. She knows what to do. Yeah. So.
We need to prop this up. I'm listening, but you guys go on.
This is truly the raw form of all things. I love it to death. It's beautiful. Yeah.
God protects you.
Indeed. Yes. Indeed. Well, we did have our moment of the week, and we have Mr. Joel, so that did that. But I thought I would skip ahead. I had word of the week this week, and so tell Big Daddy to clean his ceilings. I stuck with the military theme again because I think it's interesting to see just how jacked up our jargon is from the military. And so my word of the week this week is Gedunk. Jesus Christ, Joel.
You have to say the word again.
I'm going to have to again. I'm going to wait till he's through whatever he's doing.
Bear with me.
Not
This
a
isn't
problem.
Pornhub, Joel. Jeez.
Yeah. It's like, we believe it's amateur. We got that part down. But
Gotta get your neck just right to watch that.
There you go.
nice move there. Yeah. So the word I went with is Gedunk. Gedunk.
Spell it again.
Gedunk. Gedunk.
Use it in a sentence.
Okay.
Gedunk.
Gedunk. Yeah. Slipped over, got a bunch of Gedunk, and then came back to the barracks. For the boat. Yeah. Went down to the mess decks and stole a bunch of Gedunk and then brought back to the.
It's food.
Yes, it is food. More specifically, it's like trash.
Burger.
No, it's all candy and shit. Really, it's like candy, ice cream, all that things that's probably going to be like in a vending machine. Like chips, candy, ice cream.
Gedunk stand.
Yeah. So, like we had Gedunk chits in boot camp. Like if you were jacking around, they'd pull your. One thing they could do is take away your Gedunk checks so you couldn't get your treat at the end of the week. Things of that nature. So, but yeah, it's like sweets, candy, crap, snacks. That's just the term for that. And it's been around forever and ever, like 1800s, and even sooner actually. But nobody really knows exactly the origin, as far as I can tell.
Is it strictly a military deal? Because I've heard it in civilian quite a bit too.
It came from the military to begin with, but it probably has definitely squabbled over into the civilian side. You said Gedunk stand? Is that what you said?
Yeah, Gedunk stand. Like my dad's generation was all the Vietnam era. I'm assuming that it came back from Vietnam with a lot of them. They talk about you want to stop at the Gedunk stand and get something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Like a ball game or something. They talk about the Gedunk stand. Go get a bag of popcorn or candy.
Interesting. Yeah, kind of like, Diddy Bag. He's kind of come from the military and definitely moved over into more mainstream too. So, yeah. I thought I would.
Good work. Really good work.
It was, I had forgot really until we started talking about it. It was like really like one of the prizes of the week in boot camp. If you still had your Gedunk chit, because, you don't think about it really till you can't have it. But, like you don't get anything but really crappy boot camp food. And somebody says you can get a Hershey's bar, and you have not had that for 5 weeks. and that's like the only thing that reminds you of like normal life is that, and so it takes on a whole different meaning then as it does now. So
Yeah.
not to get heavy on you, but
That's like when you're in some foreign place for months on end or offshore,
Mhm.
get to the first place that has draft Guinness.
I was thinking you're gonna say like a Coke, but yes, vitamin G for sure. Yeah, changes your life. Yeah, so
Many flights have been missed because I found that sweet spot.
there'll be another one. This one came and left. There'll be another one coming along. Don't worry about it. That is the way of the Bradbury. Yeah.
I have to leave you guys for a second, but quick product placement, future advertising potential. I have to go pour myself another Pendleton whiskey.
That's Pendleton whiskey, folks, for all your whiskey needs. Pendleton 1910, Pendleton Midnight. Jesus Christ. I think Joel just fell into the dryer.
No, I'm putting this on speaker so Brian wants to hear.
Oh, good. I can get some interaction with the Big Daddy.
Brian, you can come over here and get in this.
Yeah, come say hi, Padre Grande.
Hey, Micah.
Good day, Mr. Curran.
Long time we no get drunk together.
Yay! Word of whiskey.
How you
We got
doing?
to up close and personal with Brian. Yeah. It's just like half an eye and like creeping around the corner. Yeah. Look at this.
You going down to Florida?
Yeah, I'm going to redefine Florida man on a daily basis. That's my plan.
Good for you. That'll be fun.
Should be entertaining, if nothing else. Yeah. So we'll have to get the gang down for a little reunion. I told Steve Wells we could build a compound, so that would be good.
I hope you start dating a University of Florida co-ed. That'd be.
Well, you know, it is a scientific lab on the university campus, so you know, you always have interaction. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I'm assuming. Never been there, so I don't know. But yeah, we were reminiscing about your hay trip this weekend, also, Mr. Curran.
We did well. We went up to the county and saw Rawley, and he loaded us up, and away we went.
You got a good video of it, Raleigh. I was going to post it on Facebook. But I don't know.
Oh.
Social.
Oh, you got video?
Yeah.
Oh, outstanding.
I took it.
Oh, good.
Look at that. Yeah, I hope somebody captured the moment. I was really hoping. Yeah.
He's pretty private up there in rural Oregon. So
Brian or Raleigh?
Didn't you feel like it was time to go when we were done? It's like, okay, yeah, you can leave the county now.
Yeah. Let's take this.
You may go now. Yeah.
Brian,
And Richard
Long time
just
no
joined us
see.
for mixing a Pendleton whiskey.
More cars drove by to check us out. They heard somebody was in town, so they came to look.
On their four-wheelers.
On their four-wheelers, yeah.
Some roughabouts. Yeah. Some roughabouts. So we got about 3 things left for this episode. We got what we learned, which is one of my favorite parts. I've got some reader mail set aside, scribbled out, so I don't get threatened. And then we have best thing of the week. So, yeah, Big Daddy leave us? You thought that was enough?
It didn't go far.
Okay, good. It's got to be watching over us. So, indeed. So, Rawls, let's start with you about what we learned. Again, it doesn't have to be this afternoon. It's basically since the last time we've spoken, or if it's something during this time, which is highly doubtful. Yeah.
What we learned. We lived in a fucked up world. That's what
Affirmative. Yes.
I'm a freak. It's just hard to wrap my mind around where the world has gone in the course of a week's time. Completely understanding and sympathetic to the family of the victim of what happened for Mr. Floyd, but where the rest of the world has taken it through media, through special interests, bizarre. Our First Amendment right has turned into so much more. So,
Well, it's really turned into, even if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong and you should be shamed and shut down, which I think is the worst part about it all. I completely agree, Rawls. Yeah, what happened is unforgivable. Like, and the entire country was like just in shock and dumbfounded. Everybody was like, that is not right. And then, unfortunately, I think a lot of that focus has been lost because of the other groups that have taken advantage of that situation and really put their plan into play.
What's interesting to me is where they took it so fast before all the facts were out, before all the evidence was out.
We still don't know. I think we know quite a bit, but everybody gets due process, even if you don't like what they did, or if it's on film the entire time, you're still supposed to get due process. That's part of the deal too.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's an interesting fucked up world we're in.
And it's morphed and changed, and it's gone on to several different stages, I think, and all that, people are wondering, like, what the hell's going on, and yeah, people are angry, and I get that, no doubt about it. But also, I think when you look at the hard numbers, there's not that much support in some of these claims, and I see sad things like yesterday, like Drew Brees, the football quarterback for the Saints, talking about how during the Kaepernick days when he would kneel, that Drew didn't really like that. He was talking about the flag and what Drew thinks about when they have the national anthem and all of that. And that's Drew's opinion. Drew's patriotic, and that's what he wanted to talk about. And he got shredded in no time flat, and actually had to take it back late yesterday or today. And the fact that that's it's his opinion. B, he's like, I'm talking about the flag and the country and what he thought about it and his grandparents. I don't think he ever really put down what anybody else is doing. And even if you are, it's still your opinion and your right to disagree and to say what you think. And you shouldn't be worried about that sort of lashback just because it's not popular at the moment with the quote unquote majority.
Yeah.
And
Joel, you got back on?
what's that?
I was just curious what Joel's thoughts were.
Generally, it's such an easy thing to get in trouble with, to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're going to get any kind of exposure. I'm not assuming that we're going to get any exposure to get ourselves in trouble, but the Drew Brees thing, he kind of a coward for apologizing. I think it's absolutely to think that people should stand and respect other people in the front of the flag. It's not about respecting the flag itself all the time. It's about respecting people who do get offended by that sort of thing. Because personally, I don't care if you kneel. What some people do. The whole thing is kind of protesting. Fine, like go out and protest. The rationale behind it's a little questionable. Same with the right-wing people. I think that had more merit, actually, the right-wing people were protesting 2 weeks ago because their entire livelihood's been destroyed. There's a Wall Street Journal opinion piece this week that really questions, like, what are they out there protesting in the first place? Talk about police violence. The evidence, the facts really don't back that up.
No.
And that's the thing. So I'm saying that out loud, and if anybody heard this, you get in trouble. Or if the wrong people hear it. But it's fucking truth. Like 19 unarmed white people were murdered by the police in 2019. 9 unarmed black people. The number of interactions, you're less likely interaction based to be killed by the police is a black person. That's like statistically, it's true.
Yeah, I saw the numbers last night. Your audio is kind of jacked up too, Mr. Joel. I'm not sure what you got going on with that, but it's been kind of skippy.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the headphones back.
Oh, that'll be good. Yeah, I saw the numbers last night, and I haven't gone and double verified them myself, but yeah, you hit it on the head. As far as anybody dying at the hands of the police that shouldn't is awful, but if you look at the
right,
it's I'm never going to say, oh well, look at the numbers, but I think it was 9 or 10 black people who had not been armed and then had died at the hands of the police. 8 of them were deemed went to trial and whatever and said it was legal, it was authorized, given what the person was doing or the attacks they got under. 2 were not, and both those officers have been prosecuted and moved on. And so and it was, like you said, there's more white people killed by cops. And my biggest problem with this is, and I'm stupid, it should if you're gonna look at those numbers, it should say last year 29 Americans were killed by the police. Really, I'm so simple that way, and I'm always confused when you're something American before anything else. That's where I always just go, man, we're all Americans. Like, that's why we're here, born or came, and that should be the first thing that comes out of your mouth. I'm American, and then you go from there.
That's not divisive enough.
I know it's not, and that's the sad thing, is that seems to be the ploy to get us fighting against each other, and that's not, when you talk about individuals, like, it's never the problem. It's when there's a group of other people stirring something that causes something else. But it just really makes me shake my head and wonder, there has to be alternative motives on a lot of this stuff, and it's just really sad.
What I'm so blown away by is the fact that we can sit here and talk about it what we think is rationally, but anytime you want to counteract our argument, it's super easy, and they just shut down the conversation. It's going to be like, well, it's not your lived experience. Like, all right, so I guess that's the end of the conversation, because that's such a bullshit thing to say. I don't know.
Well,
I've been seeing a little bit these comments on the whole thing. Like the group that really is disproportionately affected by police violence is just men in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, absolutely.
99% of police violence is against men. They're like, what group is disproportionately affected by police violence? Men.
Yeah.
Step one. Men, not white men. It's
just men. Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, because men are a lot more violent than fucking women, man.
Usually, yeah.
I get why. I'm not going to complain about it. Makes sense.
What are you brewing, Rawls? I can see there's something clanking around in there.
If you don't want to have a problem with the police, don't commit a fucking crime. There's a reason the police are there. Either they're suspicion of a crime or you committed a crime. Don't be a fucking criminal. Pretty simple. We're a nation of laws.
We're a nation of laws. Yeah.
I guess that's what irritates me the most about this whole situation is, and you've got a reason for why they were there in the first place. What happened post that is a very sad state of affairs. It shouldn't have happened. But quit committing fucking crimes and this won't happen.
Yeah, it definitely cuts down your chances of having an interaction with the cops if you're not doing anything wrong. It's and I granted, yes, I know that there's been times when people get stopped just because of who they are or what they look like.
And that's and that is a horribly unfortunate thing. And it happens in our criminal justice system. But there's such an array of crimes out there that people commit and can be guilty of, or not even guilty, can look like they're committing. That, I mean, at some point here, the size of our government plays into this. We become over-governed in to a certain extent, and I suppose that may be a different story where I am out here in BFE compared to downtown slum Chicago. I mean, whole different set of demographics and rules and everything. So you can't put everybody under the same umbrella, I'm sure. But at the same time, make good choices. I mean, life is a choice. If you choose to do whatever it was that he was doing to bring people into your world that are going to potentially cause harm to you, like the police did, I mean, on one hand, I really don't feel sorry for you. You brewed up your own shitstorm. That's my opinion. But.
Yeah, it might definitely over hurricaned, but yeah, there's always two sides to get something rolling. And I think Rawley said it, or maybe Joel, about the protesting in general. Like, I support that. I all day long. Even when Kaepernick was kneeling as a veteran, I was like, look, I don't take it as an affront to me or my service. That's how he's choosing to express something. I maybe don't agree with what he's talking about when he wore the Castro shirt or talking about cops are pigs and all the other stuff. But like, okay, I'm still okay with it. And you can march, when you start burning shit down and breaking stuff and really just going off the rails, and you start basically, when you start breaking the law, that's when I personally have issue, and you lose the focus on what it's supposed to be. And that's the sad part, is the focus shifts from what it's supposed to be about to what you're doing in other sectors. And that's the problem, I think.
And aiming to ruin people's lives who disagree with you.
Yes, completely, Joel. Completely. That's what it's all about. And that's really the genesis of this whole foolishness we do every week too, is different points of view, not drastically different points of view. Obviously you look at the screen, but it's to get people to think about different things, and the fact that Joel and I are disagreeing on stuff, but guess what? We're still friends. We still talk about it. We still move on. All of us have disagreed about shit we've talked about. But the point being is like, hey, that's a great point from you. I don't agree, but carry on. And it doesn't make you wrong or me right, or vice versa. And that's the whole point, is you can have your opinion. It doesn't hurt anybody when you say it out loud. It physically doesn't hurt you. And you shouldn't fear repercussions because of that. And oddly enough, though, it's other people's right to say, hey, that's bullshit, and I don't want you to play anymore, or I don't want to sponsor you or whatever. That's okay, too. But you shouldn't have to apologize for making a statement that you believe. I don't think. And that's the trouble.
But that's a trend of where our world's headed, though.
Yes, just yeah. The fact that you don't agree with the popular opinion now makes you wrong or unconnected, or that happens all the time. That's what life's about, is differing opinions, and it's not always going to be green. And just because 10 people say it's right and one person says it's wrong doesn't make them right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You could sell that right now.
And just if you just look at me and automatically assume something about me because of what I look like, that's just as racist as anybody else looking the other direction.
We were actually talking about this the other night, talking about white people specifically. So in Pendleton, if I see somebody on the street, a white person, I can fairly accurately judge. You can make a stereotype about them, and it's pretty accurate. That guy's like.
It's a stereotype. Honestly,
Yeah.
if you look, it's based on the data. That's where I come up with this conclusion. There's always idiosyncrasies, but yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, everyone's guilty
Based
of
on millennia
looking at somebody and judging them.
Always.
Based on millennia of genetic programming.
Say again, Richard.
Based on millennia of genetic programming, we innately have the capacity to size somebody up. Generally,
Yeah.
First impression of a person is the right impression, and it has very little to do with color.
No. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. Seriously. Yeah. Maybe I'm just dumb and simple, but that's how I look at it. And you have to think that trait comes from our survival to be here. Like, if I'm walking through the woods and something big's coming at me with teeth, I have to realize that that's probably dangerous, i.e. not friendly towards me. And that's naturally going to progress over into when I meet other people at the same time. Are they going to knock me in the head and steal my loincloth and all my pelts? It's just, we're always looking at people. We're judging and making assumptions based on what we see.
I had go ahead, Joel.
I just saw a really good post on social media from a comedian named Neil Brennan. Neil Brennan's famous for the main writing partner of Dave Chappelle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hilarious, dude.
Which actually, a side story, coolest thing that ever happened to me was at the Comedy Cellar, and sitting at the bar, and Neil Brennan came up behind me and started rubbing my shoulders. I turned around to see he was rubbing my shoulders, and I was pretty shocked to see Neil Brennan stand there, and he confused me with his buddy. But
I was going to say, was he just as surprised as you were? That was my guess. Yeah.
But he brought up a good point. Like everyone's racist to a certain extent, and that's fine. You can have like this natural prejudice and notions of racism, but you just can't, like, as a government, you can't have any laws that are prejudice or racist. And I think that's a fair point. Like, as long as the United States, and I don't think the United States has racist policies, but maybe they should be reevaluated. That's fair game. Like, bring up policy.
Always look at your policy.
Tell me why it's racist, and we'll correct it.
Yeah.
I had this weird sort of euphoria wash over me sometime in the beginning of the week. And because I made a couple realizations, and one of them about myself personally. I've been immersed in like these chaotic situations and chaotic workplaces. That was sort of my gig anyway. So this type of stuff is sort of like a place that that's where my personality clicks. So I see that in every disaster that I've ever been through, what came out of it was always greener, better, shinier, more organized, more rational than what had happened before. And every disaster I've ever been in the peak of it, the worst of the part, people have the least amount of faith. They lose their faith.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the time when you need to boil. That's the time when you need it the most. So
yes,
you need to find that in yourself and move forward. And we're at one of these critical tipping points in our culture. This is happening. It's not ever going to go back to the way it was. And I have to do this backwards because I'm going to do it because I have an awesome transition. We have Neanderthal genetics in us.
Mm-hmm.
About 6 out of every 10 of us have some sort of. How did that happen? We simultaneously created genocide against the Neanderthals and bred with them at the same time. We are a very screwed up race. We're a very screwed up species on this planet. Rationally, I don't think you can say where this is going. But it's very much in our nature what's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
Something is disconnected. It'll get reconnected. We just have to have faith. And I have to make this great transition. I just thought of it while I was sitting here.
Perfect.
It reminds me of Jocko Willink. What he says. Have you ever seen that video where he says good? They come and tell him the helicopter's broken. Says,
yeah.
Anyways. So yeah, we just had a bunch of riots. There's police violence, there's riots, there's overreaction, there's a bunch of politics. Good. We need to get this out of our system. We can't just keep hanging on. So I say good. I think we should just have some faith, realize that our world as we knew it is no more. There's something on the other end, something greener, something shinier, something better, and just embrace that because we're not going back. The box is open. And so good, we're moving forward. We know what we have to deal with. And humans are acting in rational and predictable human ways, and it'll all get.
How do you beat that? I mean, yeah. where people are angry and sad and confused, but you're so right, Richard. And that's, as I'm saying, it's always darkest before the dawn. Same thing. It's, that's when you got to bear down and keep your faith in what you believe in, and know that people, a-holes and not, are going to pull through and be better on the other side for what they went through. It's well stated, I think. It's frustrating at the time. Some of us don't like change, or we don't like change that we're not in control of. So yeah, it's going to be different.
I did watch a green roughneck one time beat off a pressurized hose, and that didn't end well.
Is pressurized hose, is that a euphemism for a hard-on the rig, or what does that mean?
It was under pressure. There was a problem on the rig, and me and other experienced oil field hand were sitting in the doghouse. It was a more technically advanced rig.
Mm-hmm.
Watching through the window with all these, they call them worms, new roughnecks, running
Makes
around
sense.
on the rig floor in confusion. And we see this guy go over with a hammer and start beating on one of the main hoses that feeds mud. It's sort of like a circulation hose that feeds mud to the drill string.
When you say pressurized, too, like several thousand psi, I'm gonna guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I look over at the guy that's standing next to it. He's the guy that's there to fix the thing that this hose is going up to. I said, surely the driller checked that and it's not under pressure. And he goes, he's hitting it pretty hard, which is the side that it's under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So no sooner did we go to open the door than he won an unwinnable battle. Roughneck to beat off a pressurized hose and just covered. Luckily, when it broke loose, it didn't like swing up and break his jaw.
Yeah, I could have shredded his wheat for sure.
But just covered the drill floor drilling mud. And me and the guy that were there to fix everything, it was like, well, I guess we're coming back tomorrow.
Yeah. There's some more job security. Yeah.
Doesn't always work out, but most of the time.
Did you guys, before I got on here, did you guys spend any time talking about just in general the protests and how quickly they forgot about coronavirus?
No, we didn't. We let that little technicality slip through the cracks too. That it's not okay to go open your business, but if you want to go break down the doors and burn the shit out of it and steal everything, marching arm in arm, that appears to be okay. So yeah. I have to be the one to point it out. See, where the majority of this idiocy is going on is in what we consider the enlightened / liberal / progressive cities and states, which I find interesting. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
These
I'm
places
not
are
even
supposed
sure
to be ahead of the curve and all this fun stuff, and it just seems to be Operation Chaos.
So hey, you got a trip to Pendleton.
Say again?
But Joel got a trip to Pendleton out of it. So.
There's that. Yeah. Oh, Rawley's got the orange rocket pop. Look at that son of a bitch.
I'm jealous.
Yes.
Orange and vanilla.
Yeah, the orange sickle thingy bobber. Yeah. But no, Mr. Joel, we hadn't really touched on that. So there's all sorts of potential chaos and idiocy that might roll back out of that. So, or we might just say, we had our time with that, and it's time to move on to something else. So maybe murder hornets are going to circle back, and they thought we forgot about them. So look at Rawley. Just choked on his ice cream. Yeah.
The best viewing on YouTube is watching people get stung by murder hornets.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out. I have not looked at that yet.
Turn them loose at the rallies.
Oh, yeah. Add some sport to it.
And several suggestions of turning some either Brahma cattle or some fighting bulls loose. Pick them up at the other end of the street. That could be entertaining.
I think you should drop their calves at one end of the street.
Mm-hmm.
Unload them at like 400 yards away in between a group of protesters and see how it goes.
We could probably take bets and do pay-per-view. Yeah. I want number 7. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Richard, I appreciate you saying what you did, though, Richard. I do. It gave me some more perspective, and I appreciate that.
Sometimes I have my moments.
Thank God. Yeah. What was that, Mr. Joel?
I was just gonna say, I don't think I've ever liked a protester, regardless of what they are protesting. It doesn't matter what you're out there for. Just like, go inside, stop it.
Just write a strongly worded letter to the editor and get over it.
There you go. There you go. I like it. I think part of it is you feel, if you're pissed off about something and you want to go protest it, you feel better and relieved when you're done, when you got it off your chest. I've screamed out loud. I held my sign. I said my stuff. People know about it. I've had to get it out. I think that's actually, oddly enough, that's healthy to be able to go do that. I'm all for that all day, every day. I don't have to like it. I don't have to give a shit about what you're talking about. I really usually don't, because not much really bothers me and I don't get too riled up on a lot of things. But if that's what makes you happy, then just go to it, man. I really don't care. But I hope you feel better when you're done and you go home and you maybe hopefully come up with a plan to change something. But yeah, I just don't ever see you lose credibility with me when you start breaking the law. It's just, that's the simple way to put it for me. And I know people are saying it's much bigger than all this. Pretty basic. Like, you can't have a conversation about anything if you're throwing a rock at me and breaking and burning down my store. If you want to talk about something, you want to bring light on something, that's how you do it. That's our society. So that's the rules we have set up that we should follow. And I still will go back to what Richard said again too. Yeah, this is part of our circle of idiocy that we all boil through. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to say we should do it this way. But you're freaking spot on when you say, yeah, it's always going to be darkest and it's going to be different. And shit, I don't know, 20 years from now, how this is going to stick in our mind. I don't know. I've seen some pretty wild stuff in the 60s from footage of what was going on. And I have to imagine it was pretty chaotic for sure. People divided, houses divided for sure with the long-haired son and the pissed off dad. And, so I think there's probably a lot of parallels in some degree. It doesn't mean I still don't agree with what's going on, but it gives me hope. That's what that does. He's breaking shit. So, all right. Jeez and rice. Well, if we're to a point where we can let this rest for a moment before we carry on, I do have some reader mail that I've remembered to get together a little bit. It's nothing like, I'm still missing messages, and I apologize. Probably the problem is I get messages. He's got the Rona. Sorry. I get messages on numerous platforms, and I try to keep it all duct taped together, and that could be a problem. So I got some shout outs, some questions, some comments, mostly from folks. And so one of our biggest fans in the Baker Valley area of Oregon, Mr. Doc Pfister, he said to tell everybody hi. He's a couple episodes behind, but really likes hearing what we have to say, our different points of view, and just always, it's part of his day that he really likes. If he's getting to drive somewhere, he throws us on and really gets a kick out of what he gets to hear. And yeah, so it's good to hear from Doc. He's one of my favorite people. And
Dr. Pfister?
Dr. Pfister, yes. Yeah, that's it.
The proctologist?
No, he's not, ironically enough. And that's because he's got hands the size of a wagon wheel. And so when I first met him, I said, I fucking hope you're not a proctologist because you'd be killing people. And so he's been Doc Pfister in my phone ever since. And so that's what
I'm sure he hears that a lot.
OBGYN? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That probably might be okay because he's just catching. He's never going to drop a baby if he's just catching. But true. Yeah. But the other stuff, yeah, there'd just be dead people everywhere. So, yeah, he's this mountain of a man. Super awesome. He plays a mandolin. My theory always is it's actually an oversized guitar, but when he holds it, it looks like a mandolin. But he really likes listening to us when he's traveling, and he wanted to say hi to everybody and say keep it up. So I wanted to pass that along. We have Bo from Baker. Also, I want to read this quote. He said, it kind of makes me laugh. Truly enjoy the podcast. Solid topics with epic proportions of mind-boggling questions. Most never truly answered. Keep it up. which really made me laugh because he was very sincere, likes it a lot. He's got him and 4 or 5 of his buddies when they're driving tractor or something, they throw on the podcast, and then they often end up debating the topics and kind of recreating it when they all convene or when they're on the radio. So that's really good to hear that they're out when they're doing their thing. It inspires them to have other conversations. And so he reached out and wanted to pass that along. So just hear cool about them passing it along too. We got Rich in Minnesota up there in the north, eh? So love the Red Dawn episode. I watched that movie 12 or 13 times in the theater when I was growing up, and great to hear you guys talk about it, and excited to hear about Operation Odessa. And so that was cool feedback that he's watching us on the YouTube as well. And so we got some background from somewhere. Maybe it's Joel.
Yeah, it's Junior's here. He won't stop talking the entire time he's been here. He's been running this.
That's what he's good at. He's our little fluffy. And another person from Minnesota also watching on YouTube had this to say, Richard and Joel do not look anything like they sound. So it really struck me as funny because you guys have always looked like that and sounded like that. And so, yeah, it was entertaining. And then I know there's other ones I've missed. I will keep trying to dig them up. But those are some of the higher low points from the past week. I need to do a better job of when I get a message, I need to jot it down somewhere instead of just like.
You do
I'll remember that.
Encourage dating advice emails. We'll give out life advice and dating
absolutely.
advice.
I think we really need a hammer on that. Yeah. You ask us something. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be dating advice. It could be, should I buy a 2-tie versus 3-tie baler? It should be, Brangus versus Angus versus Akaushi. Many options. I think, ask the gang, ask the 4 horsemen, if you will, and we'll tell you something, even if it's not right. So we don't let that slow us down. So
hey, I can answer the Border Collie Doberman question.
Yes, Richard goes and say, don't send your dog to Nevada with your wife for a week. Yes, that's the other.
Don't send the Border Collie to Nevada for a week.
That's a very good point. Not just a dog, but the Border Collie. So yeah. Again, guys, everybody's listening. Thank you much. Keep your stuff coming in. Your questions, your snide remarks, your
especially criticism.
Definitely, that's the favorite part because it always makes us laugh and see who's paying attention and what they're paying attention to. And damn it, Joel, try to look like you sound, will you?
Yeah, I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
I'll do some follow up and let you know. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Reply to, was that Bo? Did I ask that? No,
that was Sharon in Minnesota.
Oh.
It's Sharon Peters. No, just kidding. That's not her last name. No. She's gonna laugh at that. I'll probably get an ass whooping if I ever run into her again, but she's gonna laugh at it. So yeah. And with that high point, we'll go to our final not episode, but featurette or segment of the week, and that's the ever popular, always confusing best thing of the week. So Joel, why don't you bust a move on that for us?
Well, obviously it was going up to Rawley's place there. I think I've only been up that way twice in my life.
Oh.
And I was young, so I didn't remember any of it. Beautiful country up there, though.
Mm-hmm.
We get to Rawley's, that little property you're leasing. I think I counted like 15 different vehicles that you could get in and drive.
If you know all the tricks and secrets, yeah, but theoretically, yeah.
That's true. That's a lot to learn because all the baler and then the combines and the swather and it's all a new piece of machinery. You got to learn how to put in reverse.
I know that you're new to ranching, but at no one time does all 15 pieces of equipment on a ranch ever work.
If you bought 15 of them brand new that day and brought them all back, guarantee you something ain't starting. Good point, Richard.
I want to know, like, Rawley, how does every one of those pickups has dents in it? What are you running into all the time?
Low stress animal handling.
Other people are running into him, for God's sake, obviously. Yeah, he bought it that way. It was the rancher special.
Just out in the field and somebody dented your door? What are you doing?
Well, they call my wife Reckless Kelly.
There's a lot of bicyclists on the road too.
A few of them attribute that, but when you're feeding or whatnot, a lot of times big cows come around your pickup and they'll bash your door in, or you don't take them to the car wash every day and shine them up like you do in most of America. They're a tool. They're kind of like a hammer, you know. Sometimes you gotta beat something with them to make them work right. So
that's how we fix Russian space station. Yeah.
In my time ranching, I have destroyed 2 pickups doctoring calves.
Yep.
Because sometimes the safest place to be is under the pickup.
Because she's right up in your kitchen. Yeah.
I've had cattle jump in the back of the pickup after me, and I have jumped on the hood to no avail, and I have found that the only place they can't get you is underneath, but they try.
Mm-hmm. Yes, determined individuals. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
A fun one to explain to the insurance company or the Russian mechanic.
You drive no more. Yes. Oh yeah, we've all had those times. Oh.
So, yeah, it's just kind of common practice, Joel. You don't always come back with the same amount of every time you leave the yard.
Shit happens. Yeah, you cut a corner, you slide into a fence post, somebody runs into you, cow there's just. If you think his pickup looks bad, you should see Rawley. Yeah, I mean.
Well, he's got that real fancy, nice white pickup now.
It's kind of
weird to think.
In the yard.
The town rig.
In 10 years, that'll be one of those beat up.
Oh, you just didn't look close enough. There's plenty on it already.
It's just like when you get a new hat, that's your town hat. And then eventually it turns out it's your work hat, and you just keep this cycle going. So, yeah, new pickup, new hat. In 10, 15 years, that'll be your work hat, Joel.
Well, I don't know if I'll ever work that hard again in my life. So maybe I'll mow the lawn in it.
There you go. It's gotta grow with you. Yeah. Nice lid. I like your lid, Joel.
Yep.
Thanks.
So, Rawley, you want to follow up on Mr. Joel with your input?
We're on to
best thing of the week.
Best thing of the week.
Try to end on a high point, hopefully. A little smile.
Best thing of the week. So we branded some calves on Sunday, and a good friend of mine, and actually they're both really good friends of mine, but Janelle and Kenny Hasenbank, aka Spanky, he's known around Pendleton Ave, have been people that I've known my entire life, and been a good part of my life.
Wait, what's Spanky's real name?
Kenny.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's a good nickname when you don't know what the real name is. Yeah.
Most people don't know that. Everybody knows him as Spank, but and I'm sure everybody around Pendleton that's listening to this will know exactly who I'm talking to. But he's a real character, and he's a southpaw roper, and just a hoot to be around. Well, they for several years now, we've been talking back and forth about coming to Brandon. They came up this last weekend and helped Brandon. It was just it was a lot of fun, and not just because he was there, but a lot of good help there. It was just kind of a fun branding, and we had good food, and one of those days that reminds you why you do what you do.
Nice.
We had a lot of fun, and Coy and Kaylee Patterson and the kids came, and it was just a good old picnic, Brandon, and it was great weather and good view. A lot of fun.
Good tempo, good people, good times, good work.
Yep.
Yeah, it all comes together nice.
Well, that was the high point of the week.
That's awesome. Richard.
So it wasn't seeing me. That's what you're saying.
I've got to admit, it's pretty high. After missing last week's episode and you having your fetish for Patrick Swayze, I'm beginning to question your ability to judge a gay man when you look at John Wayne. Because Patrick Swayze's a little more gay than John Wayne still.
Are we going to end up developing the gay movie star scale? Is that what you're saying with John Wayne here, Patrick Swayze here?
Joel started that, so
I know. We might have to think about that. I just watched Roadhouse yesterday,
Yeah.
so that was outstanding. Or maybe the day before. Shit, it was Tuesday. I watched Roadhouse. So
I mean, John Wayne never made a film named Dirty Dancing. Just
this is gonna be the underlying discussion / theme forever. Is really the offhanded comment by Joel. That's so funny.
no, it was good to see Joel and Brian. And just always good to see people from back home come up and visit. And lots of fun.
Especially good people. You know, I always enjoy my interactions with Padre Grande and Mr. Joel and Case and the whole clan. Yeah, it's always entertaining.
Padre Grande.
Big Daddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Law Dog too. Yeah, but Richard, best me.
I did mine at the beginning.
Well, I kind of did too, but keep going. There's got to be something else. Talk about your YouTube. You're going to send out tomorrow about pickups that Joel would like.
Oh yeah, I did a tour YouTube video. I'm doing 90 days of YouTube videos. So, just to learn the platform a little bit more and learn how to sell stuff a little better. Today, I recorded a tour of a ranch truck.
See?
Not just any ranch truck, the 92 Toyota.
Ooh.
Yeah. Rawley, you have one of
Yeah,
those. So yours like an 85 probably, isn't it?
The Toyota?
Yeah.
It's a 90 or 91.
How about good vintage? Yeah.
ROI, return on investment on any ranch pickup you're ever going to buy is going to be the Toyota every time.
Far better than any side-by-side you could ever buy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Much more universal, cheaper, and runs longer. Yeah.
Goes more places.
Yeah. Better cab too.
Yep. The heater works much
The
better.
heater works like a crazy. Yeah.
Don't you kind of want to restore that back to like the Back to the Future? Remember when Marty gets the brand new Toyota?
Yeah, with the KC daylighters on the back and the roll bar. Yeah.
Yeah,
The 33-inch BFGs.
I'd restore that thing.
That was wet dream material pretty much growing up. That was a nice pickup. Yeah.
I have a theory that if you put too much work into Toyota,
It rebels.
quit.
Yeah.
Yep.
It rebels.
Check the oil.
I'm
Check
on the
the-
market. My new dream car is a 94 Path or 4Runner.
Ooh, nice move there. Yeah.
So
I dig
Good,
it. Dig in, balls?
good vintage. They made
Yeah.
Toyota made really good rigs in the early 90s and throughout the whole 90s, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
for some reason, those are just tough to beat.
True. Very true. Yeah. Anything else, Brad Burr? I'm anxious to see your video too, by the way. So that'll be fun.
yeah, I'm super excited. You just schedule it, post, so it'll be on YouTube at 4 a.m.
We could do something fancy with this too, but we just turn it loose as soon as it comes out. So yeah, but I see learning shit, passing it along. I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Is it-
yeah,
that
and then my other thing that these guys were here for was I had a first ag article published. I told you, I had a little success with writing oil field pieces, and I had writing some ag stuff, took some time to get traction, but finally had a little success. So super excited about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're excited to see that too. And I will probably reiterate just a little bit, but I think best thing of the week for me is tomorrow morning, officially my house goes on the market to be sold in scenic Lincoln. And we'll see how that goes because that's pretty much the key to all things that follow on my move. So it's a pain in the ass getting the house ready to be sold because you got to make it look like nobody lives there when you're still living there. So yeah, but that kicks off tomorrow morning, and so that'll be interesting. And I've been purging a lot of stuff that some other people like and need way more than I do. So that's been fun.
I have to tell you one of my greatest observations. Does anybody ever watch House Hunters?
Oh yeah, yeah, and international too.
The international version.
Of course, back to back, baby.
I think they should make a drinking game for every time some big calfed American woman goes into a house in Jamaica and go, I wanted a little bit of more of an American kitchen. And I just want someday for the real estate agents to turn around and go, bitch, this is Jamaica.
That's why you're here. Yes.
Yeah. They're like, I don't love this wallpaper.
Yeah, that color is awful. Also, I'm a worm farmer, and she reads tea leaves out of people's belly buttons, and our budget is $9 million. Yeah. What the hell? Yeah, I still watch the crap out of it though. Yeah, so
it doesn't look like Rawley's watched House Hunters. I don't think he watches.
I feel so.
What channel is that? HGTV.
Probably HG. Yeah, but you're just like, you almost feel embarrassed, don't you, Richard?
For some of the spouses, I'm like,
run away now. Run away now. Yeah, that should be the.
Some of the most neurotic ones are the husbands. I'm like,
yeah, it's because, well, I won't even say it. Never mind. Yeah, but yeah, there's some red flags going off for sure, and I feel embarrassed when it's House Hunters International, and like you said, it's Tank, and she's bitching about the small sinkers. And it's like, that's just what it is, honey bunny. And you're like, don't be so stupid. Really, it's just embarrassing, I think. And so, yeah.
Can't get a 35 cubic foot refrigerator in Europe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it'd be on the roof. It's like you can have a small washer and dryer or a small refrigerator, and a 1,000 square foot apartment is massive. So you want the local culture, but you want it just like it was back home. So I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, they're in a huge, beautiful castle, and the one turns to the other like, I wanted something more modern.
How are you going to argue with that?
Sorry, you're talking about making your house look like nobody lived there. Just sort of brought that. That's one of my.
That's freaking hilarious. Yeah, because I totally agree, and it makes me entertained and angry at the same time, which is what most television does for me these days. So, get off my yard! Oh, well, that was fun. Glad to get everybody back together. Richard and I had a nice little dance to begin with. Bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yippee, yay.
At least one border collie made it back from Nevada.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some of the most intelligent shit that's been said on the show thus far. So, well, we're going to go ahead and start the wrap up. Again, thank everybody for those who watch, those who listen, those who share it. You can find it on YouTube or all your podcast locations. It's great to get the feedback. I like Joel's idea of questions. We can do some Dr. Drew relationship advice, or if you got something, what does this mean? Is this supposed to be growing here? Just describe it. No pictures would be good. Or, hey, need some advice? Hey, if nothing else, do the exact opposite of what we tell you, and that might get you somewhere. So we always thank everybody for listening and sharing. And I guess we better get next week's movie and word to the Bradbury, right?
Yep.
I've been waiting for this because you even pre-teased last week that it's going to be weird, and that's coming from you. So let's have it.
So I'm double checking because I was screwed up. It's a James Caan movie. Meg Ryan, Dennis Quaid, and very young Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's called Flesh and Bone.
Flesh and Bone.
Yep. And it will sit with you and continue. It's like a what do they call it? An earbug. Just stay with you and bug you. It's a deeply disturbing movie that probably only James Caan could pull off. So
my brain was hurting just hearing who all was in it.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised. I don't think I've seen this one before. And I'm a pretty robust Gwyneth Paltrow fan, so I'm surprised. So we'll see.
Set in West Texas, and I'd say it's very much a contemporary Western. But you'll never forget this movie once you see it. You might not like it, but you'll never forget it.
And that's all I need to hear right there. Yeah. So we've got our movie coming up, Flesh and Bone, next week. Richard, that also puts you in charge of the Far Reaches Word of the Week also. So you've been duly warned. Law Dog! We've got witnesses, and so it's on you. And yeah, we'll stick Law Dog on you if you don't come through on that one. So nobody wants that. Yeah.
They missed Law Dog?
Yeah, she popped in, gave us a howdy, and or a wave, I should say. I didn't want to.
Before we go,
Insinuate
can you make that dog do a trick?
You deal cards or
Jump or shake hands or something?
cook an egg or something. Probably cook eggs and deal cards if it's Rawley's dog.
Just told him to go to bed and he went to bed.
That's good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I do that same trick with my girlfriend.
Look at that. You should curl up on that too. Yeah.
Eddie's taking a shower.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't see how we could end on a better note than that. So, guys, we got a movie for next week, Flesh and Bone, a James Caan adventure from Mr. Richard. We briefly discussed Operation Odessa. So, Joel and Rawls, if you guys think about it over the week, you got a chance to catch up on it. We'll maybe get some thoughts also after hearing us blather about it. So,
Flesh and Bone on any major Netflix,
Oh, it's on Tubi.
what
YouTube.
the fuck is that?
No, Tubi. Tubii. For free. If you want to watch it for free.
TUBYI?
Tubi.
TBI.
Tango, YouTube, Bravo, India?
Yeah, Tango Uniform Bravo India.
Okay. I'll send you a link, Rawls. Yeah. Perfect. We'll go forth and divide and conquer. And guys, thanks for making it again another week. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you sons of bitches soon.